My name is Alexis. I am 25 years old, and I live in a small town nestled in the heart of Colorado. I have always been the kind of person who believes in true love and meaningful connections. I grew up with dreams of finding my soulmate, someone who would share my passions and understand my quirks. I spend my days as an elementary school teacher, shaping young minds, filling them with knowledge, and, in my heart, nurturing the hope that I too would one day find that special someone. I had my circle of friends, all of whom I cared deeply for, but there was one person who stood out among the crowd. His name was Jacob, and he was everything I could have ever imagined. Smart, funny, and caring, he had a way of making me feel special, like I mattered. We spent months growing closer, sharing our dreams, our fears, and hopes. My heart raced whenever he was near, and I began to imagine a future with him, a beautiful life filled with love and laughter. One day, however, everything changed. I found out that Jacob had been dating another woman, Lisa, behind my back. My heart shattered into a million pieces. He had led me to believe we were building something real, while all along I was just another name on his list. The betrayal cut deep, like a dagger chipping away at my trust and self-worth. To add insult to injury, Lisa was not just an ordinary girl, she was everything I was not. Popular, beautiful, and with a social media presence that made her the center of attention. The moment I stumbled upon their relationship, I felt my world crack. My friends tried to offer their sympathetic words of comfort, but nothing could heal the wound left by his unfaithfulness. For weeks, I wallowed in heartbreak, scrolling through the pictures of them together, her laughter echoing through my mind, making my anger boil. I decided then and there that I would take control of my life. At first, my plans were simple. I devised a way to make Jacob regret his choices without him even realizing what I was up to. I knew I had to show him I was not going to be that easily discarded. I started by improving myself. I took up running, signing up for a local gym to rebuild my confidence. I treated myself to new clothes and a fresh haircut, anything that could make me feel like the vibrant version of myself that I knew still existed deep inside. But as the days turned into weeks, my sadness turned into a fierce determination. I needed to make Jacob see me in a different light, not as the girl he had walked away from, but as someone he could never forget. Encouraged by my friends, I decided to attend a party that Lisa was hosting, a bold move considering the underlying tension. As I arrived fashionably late, I let the whispers of my transformation echo around the room. I had spent time consulting with her close friends to find out what Jacob liked, paying attention to who he talked to. And there he was, sitting on the couch, lost in laughter. I approached him with a warm smile, catching him off guard. My heart raced, a mixture of excitement and defiance coursing through me as I engaged in small talk, letting him see the confidence he had pushed away. And while my efforts seemed promising, they fell short. It became clear that he was utterly naive to what I was trying to accomplish. More than that, he was still wrapped around Lisa's finger, laughing and flirting in ways I thought I could never compete with. Every small failure weighed down on me, inching my hopes down into despair. I watched them together, felt the heat of inadequacy rise within me, believing I was just not enough. Each time Jacob ignored my advances, I found my resolve torn apart. I had risked so much to step into the spotlight, but as the night went on, I was only reminded of my loneliness. It felt like I was walking through a fog of shadows while the bright world around me celebrated happiness. As days turned into weeks, I grew desperate. My heart, once filled with hope, was now a cauldron of bitterness. I plotted out a more daring scheme, a desperate attempt to get Jacob's attention for good. One day I thought, what if I could catch him in a situation where he needs my help? I volunteered to manage an event where he was scheduled to speak, taking advantage of my role to make him see my value. I spent countless hours preparing, adding layers of charm into my words, believing that if I could remind him of our history, I might still have a chance. The evening came, and as he took to the stage, my heart pounded. However, a twist of fate struck when Jacob froze mid-sentence, the words escaping him. Sparking something inside me, I stepped in to complete the remarks he had so casually shrugged off. But instead of gratitude or admiration, I was met with confusion, as he barely acknowledged me. My heart sank even lower, and in that moment, it felt as if all hope was lost. Every effort I had made to support him blew up in my face, and I withdrew further into my heartache, believing that I had truly lost him forever. But vengeance has a strange way of intertwining itself with resilience. I found solace in confiding my frustrations with my friends, who rallied around me as I plotted what felt like my final act of revenge. Instead of going after Jacob, I would strike at the heart of his relationship with Lisa. I researched and learned that she had a pristine reputation, which could be torn asunder with just a hint of scandal. I gathered evidence of her behavior, things that the social media influencers would consider unsavory. With every message and photo, I pieced together a narrative that could shatter her image. I had never thought I would stoop this low, but anger fueled my actions. I crafted an anonymous account and began to drop these hints, showing everyone the real Lisa. Days went by and I watched as the tide slowly turned against her. Friends started to question her, Jacob began noticing the whispers, and suddenly her fairy tale began to unravel. It was thrilling yet frightening. Who was I, really? Did I want this? Was it worth it to sink to this level? As I tried to balance the scales, I found myself spiraling deeper into darkness, finding it too hard to pull myself out. Eventually, I found an opportunity to confront Jacob. I crafted my words carefully, challenging him to see the truth behind his superficial love for Lisa, exposing how quickly everything around him crumbled. In that moment, I became the person I never wanted to be. A shadow of vengeance took over me, but I was also desperate to find the old, hopeful Alex within. The consequence of my actions surprised me. Instead of pushing Jacob further away, he began to step back from Lisa, realizing all the red flags. I could see glimmers of regret in his eyes as he looked at me, memories of our happier times surfacing in his gaze. And then, I had a realization. I didn't want him back out of revenge, I wanted him back because I had loved him. A part of me leaped with joy, while another part recoiled in shame. Would he see me as the woman I had worked to present, or had my acts already painted me as someone unworthy of his love? In a twist of fate, Lisa's reputation was soon dismantled, and she turned on Jacob like a cornered animal, exposing her true colors in front of everyone. Watching it unfold was like a deadly dance. I was free from the chains of that moment, but at what cost? However, Jacob, shaken and vulnerable, sought out my company. Days turned into weeks, and slowly our friendship turned back into something more profound. The chemistry remained, but I found myself in a constant battle between my heart and the remnants of the revenge I had executed. I wanted to find love again, but could I ever truly look him in the eyes without feeling the weight of the darkness I had stirred? As the time passed, I grew to embrace my flaws and recognize my journey. I did not want my first attempt at love to be tainted by ill will. I gathered the strength to confront Jacob, baring my soul, explaining the lengths I had taken to find my place back in his world. Instead of disgust, he offered me understanding, admitting he had his deep flaws too. We laughed and cried as we peeled back the layers of bitterness, allowing hope to flourish between us once again. Ultimately, we began to build something new, something better. The revenge that had burned inside me learned to transform into a catalyst for growth. It was not about conquering Jacob or his past, but rather reclaiming my identity, learning that true love is more than mere vengeance. It is honesty, understanding, and a willingness to forgive ourselves and others. Together, we forged a path of healing, not just as a couple, but also as individuals finding solace in our shared experiences. The scars of betrayal will always remind me of my journey, but love grew stronger, testing my resilience and teaching me to embrace the twists and turns of life. In the end, I realized that sometimes, the biggest revenge is finding the strength to rise above the pain and become a version of yourself that no one can take away.